Photosynthesis lesson. In this lesson, we'll explore the science and engineering practices of asking questions and defining problems, planning and carrying out investigations, constructing explanations and designing solutions, and engaging in argument from evidence. Our cross-cutting concepts include patterns, cause and effect, and energy and matter. So how do plants grow? Many years ago, people thought that plants ate soil, and that made them grow. But think about it. If that really happened, there wouldn't be any soil left on our planet. Plants actually grow by making their own food, not by eating soil. So where does the matter that plants are made up of come from? How do plants go about making their own food? One of the raw materials that plants need to make food comes from the soil, and the other comes from the air. So what are these two raw materials? The first one is carbon dioxide from the air, and the other is water from the soil. Plants make their food from carbon dioxide and water in a chemical reaction called photosynthesis. The food made by photosynthesis is sugar, or glucose. The other product of photosynthesis is oxygen. Plants need energy for photosynthesis to take place. The energy for photosynthesis comes from the sun. So where does photosynthesis happen? Photosynthesis happens in the leaves of green plants. Cells in the upper surface of leaves contain parts called chloroplasts. These chloroplasts contain a green pigment called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll absorbs light energy from the sun, allowing photosynthesis to take place. Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction. We can define photosynthesis in a word equation: carbon dioxide plus water and light energy, along with some chlorophyll, gives us glucose and oxygen. So the equation can be read as carbon dioxide and water, in the presence of light energy and chlorophyll, react to form glucose and oxygen. So what is needed for photosynthesis? The four things that plants need to make food by photosynthesis: gotta have some carbon dioxide, gonna need some sunlight, gonna need some water, and probably gonna need some chlorophyll. What is the word equation for photosynthesis? Well, we get glucose, we need carbon dioxide, gotta have some light energy, oxygen is produced, and water is useful as well. Chlorophyll gets the whole thing going. Testing leaves for starch. How are leaves tested for starch? Iodine can be used to test leaves for starch. This shows if photosynthesis has occurred. First, we're going to boil a beaker of water and then place the leaf in the water for 30 seconds. This softens the cell walls, making the leaf more permeable to iodine. Stage 2, we're going to place the leaf in a test tube of warm alcohol. And the alcohol will then extract the chlorophyll from the leaf. This makes it easier to see color changes during the iodine test. Stage 3, we're going to place the leaf in a beaker of warm water. This only needs to be for a short time, and the warm water will further soften the leaf for the iodine test. Now we are going to take some iodine and place it on top of the leaf. If there is starch in the leaf, the iodine changes color from brown to blue-black. This indicates the presence of starch. So how does light affect photosynthesis? Stage 1. 2 plants of the same type are selected. One plant is placed on a windowsill with bright sunlight, the other placed inside of a dark cupboard. Stage 2, the plants are kept in these conditions for 48 hours. Stage 3, a leaf is cut from both plants, and the leaves are then prepared for testing with starch. So we have our 2 separate leaves, one from the windowsill and one from the cupboard. Doing an iodine test on each leaf, what do you think these results will show? I would suspect that there would be a greater amount of starch in the windowsill plant versus the cupboard plant. Energy transfers in photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction that involves an energy transfer. During reaction, light energy from the sun is converted into chemical energy. The chemical energy is stored inside the organism as glucose. So how is glucose used? Some of the glucose is broken down to release the energy it contains. This process is called cellular respiration. Glucose is also used to build other molecules that make up cells and tissues. So how do plants use glucose? Glucose produced by photosynthesis can be used by the plant in a few different ways. The first is respiration. Some glucose is used for respiration. Respiration is a process used by all living cells to release energy from glucose. This energy is used to make the molecules required for growth. Some of them are for new chemicals. Some glucose is used to make new chemicals such as proteins, sugars, and fats that the plant needs for growth. And then storage. Some glucose is converted into starch and other substances for storage. It is then changed back to glucose when it is needed. Cereal grains and potatoes are edible starch sources. Biomass transfers. When plants are eaten by animals, the matter and energy they contain are transferred to the animals. This transferred matter and energy become available for the animal to use. Animals use the matter from plants to build their own cells and tissues and release energy for their own life processes. Using energy from the sun. Stage 1. How is energy from the sun used by organisms? These lettuce plants carry out photosynthesis. They convert light energy from the sun into stored chemical energy in organic molecules. Stage 2. The caterpillars eat the lettuce plants. The organic molecules within the lettuce plants are broken down by the caterpillars, and the energy is used. Some of the energy is used to make new cells. Stage 3. Blackbirds eat the caterpillars, and the energy stored in the cells of the caterpillars is used by the blackbird. Stage 4, the caterpillars and blackbirds depend on the lettuce plants by obtaining energy from the sun. So ultimately, all energy production in all ecosystems starts with solar energy. Other photosynthetic organisms. Plants are not the only organisms to carry out photosynthesis. Some types of algae and other microorganisms can also do it. An important example is phytoplankton. These are unicellular organisms. They are very common in parts of the Earth's oceans. Phytoplankton are eaten by other organisms that live in the ocean, making them the start to many marine food chains. Photosynthesis produces oxygen as well as glucose. So how might oxygen be used? Photosynthetic organisms need oxygen for cellular respiration. Some of the oxygen produced in photosynthesis is used for cellular respiration. The remaining oxygen is released into the environment. Many of Earth's organisms depend on a supply of oxygen to carry out cellular respiration. All of the oxygen in Earth's atmosphere has been made by green plants and algae during photosynthesis. This means that the oxygen you are currently breathing was released into the environment by a green plant or type of algae. This concludes this lesson, and I hope it was helpful.